Milwaukee Bucks beat reporter from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Matt Velazquez. Matt, how are things going tonight? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, glad to be talking to you. Things are going great.
The Milwaukee Bucks have been in search of a head coach for quite a long time now, unofficially/officially, ever since obviously letting go Jason Kidd back at the beginning of January. And they have their man now in Mike Budenholzer. My question to you is, they interviewed obviously so many different potential head coaching candidates during this interview process. What ultimately separated Budenholzer from the rest of the pack?
Well, I think it was just his overall experience. Obviously, he's been in the league for a long time. He spent 19 years with the Spurs, 17 as an assistant, working under Greg Popovich. Before he got his first NBA head coaching job, which, in 5 years in Atlanta, he helped take a team that was, ready to take the next step, and he got him there. In his second season, had 60 wins with the Hawks, won NBA Coach of the Year just 3 years ago, and had some success without needing the influx of free agents or big trades or draft picks or anything like that. And he's able to build a team, instill a culture, and make that team his own and get them to the Eastern Conference Finals, where it was just LeBron who stood in their way, which he's been like everybody else in the Eastern Conference for the past 8 years. So that's not necessarily a knock against him, but just the combination of his success as a coach, his tactical abilities, and his ability to instill a culture definitely stood out.
So, Matt, I just want to ask you, how do you think that Mike Budenholzer's offense is going to fit Giannis and Eric Bledsoe? How do you think it's going to fit into their style of play? They do a lot. He does a lot of pick and pop, some high-low action every now and then, but it mostly up-tempo type of ball. Is that what we're going to probably be seeing with the Milwaukee Bucks next season?
Yeah, I think that they'll have a whole summer. That's one of the good things for the Bucks about making this hire when they did. But now they have the whole off season for Budenholzer to start talking to players, kind of getting into their ear, telling them, how he wants things to go, giving them things to work on, things to look at. And they're a team that's built to play fast. We saw that all year. We definitely saw it in the playoffs, where in the games where they were able to get out and run and push the pace and share the ball. Those are the games where they had success, and the games where they were forced to play more in the half court. Things, kind of slowed down, and it's been more of a struggle for them. With Budenholzer's offense and the constant, movement and sharing the ball and kind of finding ways to get guys into their spots. You would hope, if you're the Bucks, that your half court offense could improve. You could find new ways to unlock the scoring potential of of the whole roster. And especially Giannis Antetokounmpo, just being able to work around him and get players to play off of him and be in the spots where, he can use his gravity of pulling defenders towards him to open up open shots and driving lanes for other guys. So, it seems like if they can, harness some of the things he's able to do with the Hawks in terms of the movement, the ball sharing, that can really be a big help.
Bucks beat reporter Matt Velazquez joining us here on Behind the Mic. What's going to be the biggest challenge for Mike Budenholzer in year number 1 here with the Milwaukee Bucks? What's going to be the toughest thing for him initially out of the gates?
I think one of the things for him is that he's coming into a situation where there's immediately going to be high expectations. Not that he hasn't dealt with high expectations before. I mean, like I said, he spent a long time with the Spurs organization, so he knows all about that. But this is a team that has talent, has a top 5 NBA player, and they're primed to be a tough team in the Eastern Conference. This year, they kind of underwhelmed in terms of not making that jump when other teams, like Philly, like Indiana, like Boston, they made kind of that jump with young talent, and so you'll have to definitely get up to speed with that. I think to some extent, there might be some difficulty in breaking bad habits. The Bucks as a team would fall into the habit of, the ball getting stuck in certain games, and on defense, being in the wrong positions or not communicating, not giving constant effort or intensity on that end. So I think you need to break through and instill that system and get them to, to totally buy into everything you're teaching, so that you can hit the ground running and be able to set improvement from the beginning.
What's interesting, Matt, is that You know, a lot of people say that Giannis is the guy that, in terms of how is he going to gel with Matt and things like that, and his type of game that he plays. But you know what? Nobody talks about Thon Maker, and Thon Maker is a player on that team that is a very talented. He's young, but he's a very talented kid. He kind of reminds me of like a Kevin Garnett type of player. I mean, he can be that. How is he going to? Is there going to be any focal point on getting him developed and making him a better player? Because him, beside with Giannis, I think could be really a deadly weapon right there for him. You know, to him to get a lot more touches and things like that. Do you think he's going to have a focal point on also Thon Maker?
Well, I think during his time, both with the Spurs and the Hawks, Budenholzer was known for getting players to develop and building them up individually and as part of the team. I think Thon Maker is somebody that the Bucks believe in, that they think that he can be a more useful piece for them going forward. I mean, this year he started the season as a starter, coming off a great playoff series against the Toronto Raptors and a great end to his rookie season. And then immediately he struggled. You know, he wasn't always where he needed to be defensively. He looked a little confused and caught in between. Still physically, he's not able to battle for rebounds and battle inside of some of the more physical plays in the league. Offensively, he was still kind of trying to figure out where his spots were. He was taking more above the break threes and not making them, which was leading to issues with confidence and frustration. So Jason Kidd had to move in and take more mid-range shots to try and get his confidence up. And over the course of the season, he kind of fell out of the rotation by the end, missing some games and kind of just slipping out until the playoffs came around. And then suddenly, boom, Game 3, he comes in like gangbusters and helps flip the series around. And he played better in games 3 through 7. Not necessarily in all the games, but during that stretch, he played better than he had really at any point all year. And so the Bucks really need to find a way, under Budenholzer to get playoff Thon Maker into the regular season and to incorporate him into the offense. Because you're right, like he's somebody who, with his skill set as a stretch 5 type player and a long rim protector, at least on paper, you look at that and you say, okay, this guy next to Giannis, like, he can stretch the floor, he can make shots, and he can help deflect shots and anchor the defense. If they can maximize his talents, and obviously he's still a young player, only in his 3rd season, still in his early 20s, if they can do that and get the most out of him, then he could definitely be a huge asset.
Does this hire help to entice Jabari Parker to stay with Milwaukee long term?
I mean, it could, but at the same time, it really doesn't matter in the sense that he's a restricted free agent. If they want him, he's going to have to stay. They can match any offer that any other team makes for him, and that means he's there. So it's more about if the Bucks want to keep him and if they still see him as part of their future. Obviously, John Horst, the GM here in Milwaukee, he's always been a big person who talks about collaboration and working together and sharing ideas. And so I'm sure that's a point of emphasis that he'll be talking about with Budenholzer and the rest of his front office as the team heads into free agency, as in terms of what value does Jabari Parker have, what can they do to how much money is it worth, what they need to do to get him back into the team. If Budenholzer can kind of can incorporate him and find the perfect role for him, if all those things come up in this, if they can agree on a way to move forward, then obviously they'd bring him back and they would find a way to make that happen. Or if they all agree that they might be best off moving forward and trying to find a sign and trade or something like that, or the value might get too high and the team might offer too much, then they'd have to go that route. But as a restricted free agent, the Bucks would have, they have the leverage and the upper hand to decide if they want him back or not.
You know what's frustrating about watching the Bucks play is you see the talent that they have. I've told Brad this many a times that this team, honestly, looking at the talent that they have across the board, should be top three in the East, at least. And my question to you is, what do you think? It's going to take some time, as we know. It's not going to happen right away. But where do you see this team lying next year, going into, let's say, mid-season, close to playoffs? Where do you see this team, and what seed do you see this team playing?
Well, I think this year they had high hopes that they could make the improvements. They could build off continuity, bringing back most of their roster, and they could be, hovering around 50 wins and a top half of the Eastern Conference type team. But general inconsistency, poor defense, games where they would lose by 31 to teams like the Mavericks. Those types of things. They never really gelled. They never put together long win streaks. They just kind of got complacent. And obviously when you switch coaches, there's a whole culture change and a lot of things to process during that. So, I think that'll be the goal for them heading into next season. They're going to want to be, regardless of who's on the roster, you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, you're going to have Chris Middleton, you have Eric Bledsoe under contract, you have Malcolm Brogdon, and you have these core pieces and talented players where, like you said, they should be like a better team. They should be higher up in the standings, and they believe that too. So if the missing piece was the right coach and the right system to get the most out of them, then, I think that should be the goal again, to be around 50 wins and to be competing in the top half of the Eastern Conference and to have sustained periods of success and to beat the teams they're supposed to beat and really make a move.
He's Matt Velazquez, Bucks beat reporter for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Follow him on Twitter at Matt_Velazquez. Good chatting with you tonight, Matt. We appreciate the time. All the best going forward.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Matt, I got a side note. If you go to the Bradley Center a lot, I'm assuming, if you see my CD player, man, please give Bradley a call, man. I lost it there in 2001 playing against University of Marquette, and someone took it out the locker room. So if you see it, please let me know. I'm still looking for it 20 years later.
If I see it, I'll let you know because we're running out of time. The Bradley Center's going to get knocked down soon. We got the new arena going up right next door, so you might be out of luck. I don't think I'm going back to the Bradley Center anytime soon.
The clock is ticking, Keith.
All right, man.
Matt, thanks a lot. Have a good weekend.
All right, you bet. You too.